Great good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful Wednesday, August 13, year of our Lord 2025. My Cordaro Jewelers watch tells me it's 9:08 and 28 seconds. Broadcasting today from the United States of America. I can prove it. The President of the United States actually, he's trying to prevent people from becoming victims of crime. Isn't that novel? It's also the place where the brave, like the veterans we salute today, thanks to our man John Basiliga and his great companies, including the Marketplace at Steamtown, conducting the beginning of its pop-up at the Marketplace on Saturday. Edward Wentland, Scranton. Robert Anderson, Scranton. Jeffrey Pensick, late of Florida, but he was from Scranton. Frank Yarosavich, DuPont. Robert Schultz, Millville. And Joseph Venditti, he was from Berwick. The United States of America, founded with a certain knowledge and understanding by our incredible, amazing, irreplaceable founding fathers. That government is not, shall not be, cannot be our parent, our guide, our direction, our salvation. Not any of these things, but is nothing more than a necessary evil we require to organize and protect society. The United States of America, the country where, for the first time in human history, freedom was declared to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. Freedom couldn't be parceled out to groups. It couldn't be controlled by government or government officials because our great American Constitution ensures and codifies freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and freedom of the press, whether they lie or not. Now, armed with these freedoms, and only because we had them, and as a direct result, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, rejects, and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose, unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. This Bob Cordaro Show, well, it'll always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And so, we gavel to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that we will provide a sanctuary of sanity for you for the balance of this morning. And we do pass out the warning, though. It's not a safe harbor for stupidity. We will not suffer fools gladly. So, we get these email or text rather from all of you, and so does the previous show. And so I read one of these. It's from one of the trolls who regularly tries to troll this program, but actually just gives me a chance to correct their insanity. Where is it? And it was in reference to the rumors, and it was in the Scranton Rag. I'm guessing it was in the other papers as well. Yeah, Nexstar. Now, Nexstar is run by a guy named Perry Sook. Perry Sook got into this business. I used to know him. He got into the television business right here with I think it was WYOU. I don't think it was DAU at the time, but WYOU. And now he's got this huge station group. And so he made one company, one television station here in this city, in this region, into a huge television group. And now they're looking at Tegna, which is an awful owner of Channel 16. Channel 16 was once the class of our local television stations, local television news, all that. But they've got left-wing lunatics in the company. They've got left-wing lunatics trying to run the local, even the local news. And it's going downhill. Well, they're going to sell, supposedly. Now, I've been through this before because I bought and sold radio stations. Never came to the what they call antitrust thresholds. But they, under normal circumstances, and I think in this case as well, they're not going to let Nexstar own all three network stations in the market. Who knows? But that may happen. Well, somebody texted corporate-owned media. This is to Nancy now, not to me. Corporate-owned media is only loyal to their stockholders, not facts. I've been emailing Odyssey for years complaining about Cordaro's hate speech and easily proven misinformation, and he's still on the air every day spouting crazier and crazier things. You made my day, so thank you. Now, as always, this person has never written to me here to point out something that I should make more accurate or that I was wrong about. And they don't mention it, obviously, in the text either. So it's like they make it up. Here's what the text should have said, because this is obviously a left-wing lunatic. By the way, we love you, and I mean that. I'm not just saying it. We love you, but you've gone insane for some reason, whether it's Trump or whatever, and facts offend you. Truth offends you. Reality offends you. And by the way, you're not alone. I mean, it's about 40% of the country. 20% that have it so hardcore that they're frightening. You may be one of them. I don't know, but you're certainly one of the 40%. Now, let me point out what I always point out. Cordaro's hate speech. She's whoever it is the listener's writing to Nancy. Now, who's my boss? Anyway, Cordaro's hate speech. And I will point this out again and again and again, but it's important to say it. Just because you hate it doesn't mean it's hate speech. I don't hate anybody. Nobody. I mean, if you want to give me a reason to do it, well, no, I hate Joe Biden. He's a disgusting, sickening, corrupt, decrepit, old. I don't even want to use the word I want to use. So I will tell you, email me, and I will correct your misunderstanding of everything. It's like we had a guy call the other day. He goes, well, I get my news from public television. What? No wonder you're addled. You're not getting the truth. You haven't had the truth in decades. They may stumble upon it like a blind squirrel with an acorn once in a while. Now, here's somebody else, which is good. They said ABC News on WILK is a slanted propaganda joke. I miss when WILK had independent news persons. It's what it is. It's what it be. What are you going to do? Somebody says, love it when you quote me, Bob. I've linked proof to all my corrections of your misinformation. Where? Send me an email, robert.cordaros. And by the way, I won't waste my life with your insanity, but I will respond. Robert.Cordaro, Cordaro at Odyssey, stupid name, AUDACY. Okay? There you are. So, we'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We will return. This date, 1952, the original version of Hound Dog was recorded by Big Mama Thornton. I'm sorry, better than Elvis. That is fantastic. And then you've ever heard, I mean, I know it's for us older people, but you say, what are you, Florence Nightingale? You know, if somebody's taking care of somebody, or they say it admiringly. Well, she was the founder of modern nursing. She died in London at age 90. This date, 1910. Bob Cordaro back with you on WILK. So the troll says, are you going to deny playing Uneasy Rider on Monday? The lyrics clearly use the word, a curse word, unbleeped. Well, see, you're blinded by your ideology, maybe by hate. Like completely to the point where you don't even hear straight. Something triggers you, or you're trying to catch me on something to get me in trouble or whatever. I feel sorry for you. The song, I checked with the Bulldog, it came out of our own system, which takes any offensive language out. So, you're wrong 100% of the time, and you proved it again. So I'm done with you for the day because you're too ridiculous to deal with. Now, if you give me something else stupid that the left-wing media or the left-wing and Democrat Party narrative contains, well, maybe it'll give me a chance to respond to that insanity. Jesus, it's unbelievable what these people do. They will twist anything to either win some micro point. Like, I was thinking about this. The Democrat Party, Democrat elected officials, they want illegal immigration. Not legal immigration, illegal immigration. They had the chance to expand legal immigration and didn't even, any of you, think back. They never even touched on it. They wanted illegal immigration because it deteriorates this culture, number one. It undercuts wages of American working people, number two. And number three, and probably most importantly, they govern the places they live so poorly that everybody moves away and they don't want to lose representation, so they stuff a bunch of illegals in there, into Los Angeles, into New York City, New York State, Illinois. They stuff a bunch of illegals in there, and if we do the census illegally, which they forced in 2020, then they don't lose any representation. It's quite amazing. But they want illegal immigration, number one, and they don't care what the consequences are, because they're not going to suffer the consequences. Number two, they don't mind crime. In fact, they appear to be pro-crime. Trump calls out in an out-of-control city, he calls out the National Guard to assist the police in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. Now, how could you conceivably be against more police presence in a place where crime is rampant? Please think of these people. And by the way, it's the whole Democrat Party. The only person I found that was for it was Harold Ford on the 5 yesterday. While I was flipping through the news cable channels, I love the show. And I like Harold Ford. He's a Democrat and he's not afraid to be sensible. Most Democrats are afraid to be sensible, even those who might have that in them. Somebody takes in, Bob, the problem with the left and the Democrats, they want Republican Party to sugarcoat the problem and put up no fight. Since President Trump, they can't do that and get what they want. This is why they despise President Trump. Not only does he hit back, but they know if he hits them and the punch lands, it's like Mike Tyson or Big George Foreman. It's lights out, and their sick agendas are dead. Yep. Another text in, these people are all blinded by hate and have absolutely no self-awareness. They will drone on and on about how we need more gun laws, but not even acknowledge the fact that just Monday night, the National Guard confiscated 6 illegal weapons in Washington, D.C. Yeah. It's really something. I'm telling you. Ginny from Plains Township checking in. She says her power's off and on twice by the Geisinger, and it came back. PPL sent text to some areas that are still down. She said, I'm on oxygen. It's hot and humid, so, hey, we'll hope for the best for you, my dear. I hope they know this. Hang in there, Ginny. Yeah, it's a crazy thing, and I just don't know why. I just don't know why. It's not making us any sense. Somebody texts in, Bob, this troll would be the same person that a few years ago would be arguing with his facts, it's his or her, that COVID didn't come from a lab, that COVID shots work, I would add work completely, that the border was secure, that Joe Biden was sharp in his tack, that Trump was a Russian agent. I can go on and on, just like the rest of the Democrat Party. A joke, says Tom from Dallas. I mean, why you want to be like that? I don't understand it. What good does it do? Here's somebody, you know what I hate about Harold Ford? This is the guy I'm talking about on the former congressman who's on the most days on the panel on the 5 on Fox News. He talks common sense all the time. Well, not all the time, but he constantly agrees with the panel. But then he goes out and votes Democrat. That might be even worse than being a lunatic lefty. It's even more lunatic when you know you're wrong and still do it. Bob K says LTS. Bob K, you make a great point there. You really do. We're still trying to get to this pathology, whether it's Trump hatred, Republican hatred, a combination of the two, or just some kind of blind devotion to the Democrat Party that doesn't exist anymore, or true left-wing lunacy. There's multiple factors here, and maybe a combination of all of those that would make you ignore and actually hate facts, truth, and reality. I'm not understanding it. Please help me to do so. We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We'll be back with our first Veterans Tribute after this. and every veteran handed a check payable to the United States of America and its citizens, giving credit for everything, including to and up to their lives. Thanks to the Bloomsburg VFW for posting that, chiseling it into stone. Our Veterans this hour brought to you by John Basiliga and the Pop-Up Market Series, bringing new energy to the Scranton Public Market at the Marketplace at Steamtown. Edward Wentland. He died July 22nd. He was 73. He was a resident of Scranton. Born in Newark, New Jersey, he was a 1970 graduate of the great Scranton Technical High School. He was of the Catholic faith. He was a member of the Pennsylvania National Guard and served us there. During his career, he was employed by Arlington Industries, Sarno and Sons, and was a certified healthcare worker as well for over 20 years. Avid fisherman whose favorite fishing spot was Lake Ontario at Fairhaven, New York. Loved the Giants, loved the Yankees. Edward Wentland. Robert Anderson. He died at age 89, July 12th. He was living in Virginia, just outside of Richmond. He was born in Scranton, graduated from Scranton Central High School in 1953, along with his future wife, Barbara Ann Spitzer. He did a stint on the U.S. Naval Reserves aboard the USS Wasp. Bobby married Barbara in 1958. They moved to Roaring Brook Township in 1962, where they raised their 3 children. He worked as a printing pressman at Eureka Corporation and then at American Can. The family moved to Richmond in 1982. In addition to his wife, Bob is survived by 2 sons and a daughter, 3 grandchildren, 3 great-grandchildren, numerous nieces and nephews. He loved Jeopardy, another long-suffering Giants fan. Favorite movies were Oliver Twist, the original Christmas Carol, a Dickens guy. He worked hard throughout his life to raise a family and maintain a home and was able to retire in relative comfort. Truly, the American dream, the family says. Robert Anderson. Our great veterans, brought to you by John Basiliga. And starting this Friday, August 16th, a new series of themed pop-up markets at the Scranton Public Market, right in the center of that great marketplace at Steamtown. Live music, 20 vendors. There'll be year-round food and retail vendors at Scranton Public Market. And it's inspired by iconic destinations like Reading Terminal Market. I'm going to go there Saturday, and I'm going to go to Hot Watches, Cool Cars at Picardo's. That's my day. They're only a few blocks apart. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from our friend meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, clouds with afternoon showers and thunderstorms, 85 degrees. Now, Lisa, our receptionist, she's got this Jeep. Now, it's not the car she normally drives, but have you ever seen some of these Jeeps? It actually has an angry face. It looks like it's angry. Well, it's taking on the anger of its owner, Lisa. Anyway, she's got all the top down. So watch out for the rain this afternoon. 85 degrees. Tonight, cloudy with chance of showers, 70. Thursday, morning clouds and showers, then partly sunny, 85. Friday, sunny, 88 degrees. We're back. Well, that is Elvis. This date, 1963, his album Girls, Girls, Girls is certified gold, mostly on the heels of Return to Sender, which carried the whole album, Murph says. Bob Cordaro back. And, of course, that was Bill Maher. Stephen A. Smith, some of you may not be familiar. He's an ESPN sports commentator. But he delves into politics. He's not he's not terribly bright. But he'll say things controversial, and he will stand up against the Democrat Party, so there's something there, and call them out when they're insane. But he's anti-Republican, so there's not, you know what I mean? Like, it's much like you mentioned with Harold Ford. Well, if you know that the political party you're in is insane, and you say it, why do you stay there? What's the point? You know what I'm saying? I'm not getting it. I don't get a lot of things, but that's, but he's gotten a lot of play by guys like Hannity, which, again, it doesn't make any sense. He doesn't have anything very intelligent to say. He doesn't have any great analysis. But he's really come to the fore simply because he talks like an independent thinker. But then he goes, votes Democrat. So the point is obviously lost on him. Mr. Paul texts in, oh, my God, not that idiot. Stephen A. Smith. Yeah. Tom from Dallas says, I love the military quote you read, Bob. I always love this quote as well. People sleep peacefully in their beds at night because rough men and women stand ready to do violence on their behalf. Yep. Somebody asked relative to Stephen A. Smith, what's wrong with a construction worker? Absolutely nothing. In fact, if they weren't so busy making things, was it Stephen A. Smith or was it? But remember, they're two Democrats. How much sense are you going to get out of them? But the construction workers are too busy, doing things that actually make sense to get involved in politics. Somebody said, Bob, the Democrats don't even know who they're voting for. I called one yesterday and said, what do you think about our Governor Josh Shapiro going along with the other states and suing to continue the mutilation of innocent children and gender insanity? The caller told me Josh Shapiro would never do such a thing. He's too much of a nice guy. And I was repeating a right-wing conspiracy theory. Yeah, they wear flak jackets. Flak jackets, and it bounces off. I don't know how you can do. I just don't know how. I don't know how you can continue to do this. And I don't. By the way, the other part is I don't know why. I don't get it. All right. We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK, 570-883-0098 to call or to text and keep this show alive. We'll be back. The Kinks, this date 1964, they reached the UK charts for the first time with their hit You Really Got Me. And before that, the border between East and West Berlin closed by the East Germans and marked with a barbed wire fence and eventually a wall. And now there's people in this country who think that socialism works. Did you hear the announcer? 20% of the East German population got out. They had to close them off. They had to close them off because they had to lock their people in. You understand this? I'm not talking to the normal people listening. I'm talking about the Dummycrats listening. Don't you understand this? And I'm not talking to the Democrats, because the normal Democrats get it. And they've been fleeing this political party or voting against it regardless of registration. But the Dummycrats, I mean, Mamdani might be the mayor of New York City. An Islamist, not a Muslim, an Islamist hater, a communist, mayor of our largest, most important city. And the proof is everywhere that what he proposes fails. Can you understand that? It's exhausting. It's frightening. And people will still vote Democrat. Wow. Somebody takes in Josh Shapiro, nice guy. Well, he's not. You're right. Bob, really, the mutilation of innocent children, much worse than Kids for Cash scandal. No, Bob, Josh Shapiro is not a nice, common sense thinking human being like the liberal media outlets are making him out to be. Shapiro wants power at any expense, and he doesn't give a rat's rear end about a suffering innocent child. The media must get it right. Well, the media's not going to get it right. We have to get it right despite the media. Remember, a lot of Democrats are clinging to Josh Shapiro as though there's something good about him. And by the way, he not only supports the mutilation of children, he's suing to keep it available. He's not just like, well, okay, whatever. No, I am all in. I'm all for it. He's sick. He's mentally ill. There's no other explanation. Anybody who is for that, including the people and the medical facilities and doctors doing these surgeries and administering these drugs, are sick and evil. Sick and evil. Let's call it what it is. I don't know. Tenor Jim with a little joke, so I might as well read it for you. He says, Biden's open borders and illegal immigration is the real Montezuma's revenge, which is far more detrimental to the United States than the case of diarrhea I got visiting Mexico. All right, Tenor Jim. Yeah, so when Josh Shapiro is covering up what he actually believes in, and they're using this sickening nomenclature of gender-affirming care, and you see that he is the only governor named in the litigation against the Trump administration regarding preserving mutilation of kids. We've made our position clear on this, too. Bottom line, when you're an adult and sexually mature, you can make this decision for yourself. No sick, twisted, addled parents, no goofball counselors advising you, go ahead, it's what you feel. Well, they don't even know what the hell they feel. And I know it's trite, but kids wanted to be Superman when they were kids. Now the boy wants to be a girl. Okay. First you analyze, do they actually have gender dysphoria? Or is it just some comment or just looking for attention? Someone that is not for transgender insanity on kids has got to make that determination. And then you decide how to counsel them and help them. Yeah, somebody else brings up another point. People think Shapiro and Fetterman are good guys. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't they both vote to keep men and women's sports and transgender surgery for minors? Yes. Yes. Please remember them. Oh, yeah. Somebody else. Remember, as Pennsylvania Attorney General, Shapiro claimed a woman committed suicide by stabbing herself over 50 times, including in her back and the back of her head, with some of the stab wounds after the fatal blow was delivered. Yep. Oh, he was a horrible. Don't you remember the prosecutions he brought here in Northeast Pennsylvania? Dragging off a 70-year-old woman in handcuffs. Remember that one? Embarrassing the hell, scaring the hell out of a janitor because he wanted to do the bidding of the 6 Scranton Times? Yeah. Oh, no. He's not a good guy. He's not a good governor. He shouldn't be reelected. Let's hope we get somebody normal like Stacey Garrett to run against him. Hey, Bacardos, remember, Saturday, 10 to 5. If you're downtown at the marketplace, stroll over to Spruce Street and Jefferson Avenue. Hot cars, cool watches this Saturday. Breitling, Oris, Longines, Michelle, Shinola, Luminox, Swiss Army, Seiko, and my own Bacardo Jewelers watch tells me it's 10:01 and 53 seconds. Back after the news. Great good morning, everyone. 10:12 a.m. here in the great Northeast, according to my Cordaro Jewelers watch. And it's Wednesday, August 13, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show, and I am he. And it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values. And with the help of our man, John Basiliga, and the great marketplace at Steamtown, opening up this Saturday, pop-up markets. Think Reading Terminal in miniature. People like veterans we lost this year, but celebrate today, like Edward Wentland, Scranton, Robert Anderson, Leyda, Virginia. He was from Roaring Brook Township. Frank Yera Savage, DuPont, Robert Schultz, Millville, Joseph Venditti, Berwick. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order for the tall guy. This meeting of the Club for Common Sense after that brief news adjournment. So, yeah, this Mondami thing keeps getting. Actually, you got to get Andrew Cuomo out of the way. He's a piece of spit. I mean, stop it. It wasn't just a sexual harassment. Handsy Andy. But it was allowing those seniors to die in the nursing homes while accepting an Emmy for his press conferences on COVID. Now, please remember this. The Democrat Party doesn't know it, but he deserves credit for defeating Donald Trump. Now, I happen to believe they stole millions of votes, the Democrat Party, in the 2020 election, because there is no way, and I mean zero way, that Joe Biden got 16 million more votes than Barack Obama. Impossible. Defies credulity. In any event, Trump had to. He said, I'm Mr. TV. I can just picture him. I'm Mr. TV. I'm going to do daily press conferences. And he didn't do himself any favor. And it gave them the excuse, as they were stealing millions of votes, for people to say, oh, well, at least Joe Biden keeps his mouth shut. So you got to give Cuomo a lot of credit for the 2020 election, but he's a dog. He's really an awful person. Hey, by the way, so I leave the studio. I don't even know. I was going to wash my hands or whatever. I run into Bobby Adcroft. And he used to be one of our great sales guys here. He now has his own ad agency. And he goes, there's Krispy Kreme donuts in the kitchen. I said, you've got to be kidding me. And sure enough, there was one raspberry-filled frosted. I miss those so terribly. Every time I turn my head, I try to get it. Every time I walk into the kitchen, I look to my left to see if there's Krispy Kreme donuts. They are so good. Off the charts. Anyway, let's go to the phone. And we got Fred from West Pittston. Fred, how are you?
Good, Bob. I agree with you at 95%. You're very talented, and you're right on a lot. But you're talking about Matt Cartwright and Bob Casey yesterday, what they're doing right now. And, they lost because they weren't good policymakers, and they voted.
Horrible. They both turned into left-wing lunatics.
Right, and they voted like Fetterman for the sports,
Yep.
Men and women's. And you said, Bob, I don't agree with you at all with this. You said they're good people. They're not good people, Bob. If you look up the definition of a good person, they're not good people.
Well, Fred, and by the way, I respectfully disagree on this one. A lot of things I'll just say,
Bob.
but I can't. But I
You
cannot
look at
say.
definition.
I cannot say from your point of view that you're wrong. I can't say it. I know them both for decades. Have had a lot of personal interaction. Why
you
they
don't
went?
Make no wave where you live because you're a Scrantonian. But they're
No,
not
I
good
could care
people,
less.
Bob.
No, Fred, you're reading it wrong. I could care less about that.
Well, that's what I want to hear.
No, I could care less about that.
No, but I agree with you 100%. You're a very talented person, and others there, like Nancy. Nancy says things that are
Insane.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, they're insane.
Unbelievable. Good people are good people, Bob. When you look up that definition, you look it up.
All right, look at it's you know how there's positions that we have, and I say no matter what people say, they're wrong. I can't tell you this. Your perspective is fair if you watch their voting records. Yes, without a doubt.
And you don't know because that causes harm, big harm to other people. Like, you know what I mean? When they made that vote, that's a big thing, Bob. When they vote unbelievably nuts.
Yeah.
That hurts people, Bob, badly.
Yeah, it's really. Look at Democrat policies. The core of the Democrat ideology right now is
Bob.
Evil. It's evil.
Bob, if they follow. If they had a dart and they're going to throw it in your arm or they could throw it in your eye, what would they throw it in? They would throw it in your eye.
The Democrats.
They're evil people, Bob.
Well, not those two. I've got to go by my personal experience and knowing family of each of them and all that.
Yeah,
I just can't go along with you there. But I know where you're coming from.
Family is family. And, you even got to watch that once in a while. You know what I mean? You got to be really aware about that because,
Well, Fred, I always say I'd rather get screwed by friends and family than strangers.
Well, you're a good guy and you mean well, but that meaning, you know what I mean? It resonates within a lot of people when you don't do. It's okay when you go down the cellar and you break your own lamp. You're not a bad person. That's yours. But when you go throwing rocks through people's houses, that's not good. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Right. Fred, you got a point. I disagree with you, but you've got a strong point. You do.
Thank you, Bob.
All right, my man. Pleasure. Thanks for being with us. Hey, that was worth the conversation. It is a difference, and it's not semantics. I genuinely don't think from knowing them all these years, knowing their family, that they're bad people. Why they are so ridiculously misguided when they were in office is beyond my comprehension. And it makes me question them, without doubt. But I don't take the next step with some of you, which you have every right to take based on what you know about them, which is their public record. And I happen to know more about them than that. And Fred, just to reassure again, I went tongue and nails against both of them in the election. 1,000%. And fortunately, we were successful. But, and that's different. As I told Frank Andrews, I said, we're way past who we like. Because we are. All right. We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK, a little history, a little music on the other side of these great sponsors, and then we'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. The Supremes, Murph tells us, they recorded their hit Baby Love this date, 1964 and 1995. It's hard to believe. 30 years ago today, Yankee legend Mickey Mantle dies of cancer. He famously said, and I don't know if it was original to the Mick, but he said, if I knew I was going to live this long, I would have taken better care of myself. And I will point out, and I don't think I know I'm not the only one participating in the program, including the listeners. I was at Mickey Mantle Day. And everybody went, we did a standing ovation. You know how you blend things in your mind? I swore it was a bat day, too. But anyway, Mickey Mantle Day at Old Yankee Stadium. I think we cheered for 13 minutes. Nobody wanted to stop because they didn't want Mickey Mantle to go away. We lost him this date in 1995. Just a response, quickly, or a continuation of the previous subject. Just because you're horrible at your job, it doesn't make you a bad person. Maybe that's sort of my pithy comeback on the discussion. Somebody says, Democrat, somebody texting in, Democrat ideology is evil, you say. Which part? Affordable medical care, school lunches, fair treatment of LGBTQ, police accountability, separation of church and state, fact-based reporting. It's the same idiot troll. Don't give me stupid nothings. Who wants unaffordable medical care? Who doesn't want school lunches for people who can't afford them? Who doesn't want fair treatment of LGBT plus? Who doesn't want police accountability? Who doesn't want separation of church and state? I know who doesn't want fact-based reporting. All of your news sources except for this one. God, you're just an idiot. You're just stupid. And I don't like to say that about a listener. But by the way, this is the Church of Perpetual Forgiveness. I believe you can come back from your idiocy. It's pure stupidity. It's blind stupidity. Please, come up with a name so I can refer you to you as something other than pejoratives. Donald from Pittston. Hi, Donald.
How do you do? This is a problem, Bob, with this subject. Okay, go with this song.
Yeah, you gotta let your theme play. I want to come over. There's our Don. What do you got, my man?
Yeah, it's not coming. I was like, it's always a centrist. Like I said, the problem is there's no common sense. But the problem is they're deliberately pouring venom into our nation's bloodstream with the mutilation of the children, the open borders, the anti-Semitism, the promoting a woke society over a normal one.
Yep.
The Democratic Party's totally lost their moral compass, like men and women's sports. So, man, Danny's right. The Democrats, they don't need to call a cop. They need to call a psychiatrist because he's right. They do need psychiatric care, and he's right about that issue. You should run on it. So yeah, go see a psychiatrist.
But Donald,
you're
on at least in the same realm with me on this subject. You know the two politicians we speak of.
Yeah, I do.
They were horrible at their jobs. They were horrible at their jobs. They were followers. Right. They were followers, not leaders. Doesn't make them bad people.
Well, the thing is, though, there was a chair there. And I called you on this issue how many times, especially that's why I said, well, no, you're not going to mutilate a kid. I'm just entitlement, whatever you want to do with, it's just so sounds like a left-leaning centrist. I said, there's no exception to mutilating a child. There was an empty chair
the border, and this.
In that chair, and Matt could have sat in that chair, and they could have won that seat. They refused not to come in and defend themselves. That they did it to themselves.
Well,
Not
they
Bob
voted again.
Cordaro.
They
You had
voted
it,
with
was
the
empty chair
lunatics.
there.
They voted with the lunatics. They deserve
They
to be
could have went in
defeated.
and defined themselves. They didn't do that. They said, "No, I'm against these gender mutilations," and he would have won, and the other guy could have said the same thing. But that was a big issue, believe me.
But Donald, what's our conclusion? That they supported insanity. That's our conclusion. There's no other conclusion you could draw.
I don't know how they could do it. I mean, they're, like I said, now they're deliberately. I don't know if they're just mad at Trump. It seems like there's anything to destroy our country they're trying to do. They don't see it that way, though. Especially, like I just mentioned, the open borders, everything. You just can't do it that way. You have to have secure borders with legal gates. You could do a gender operation if the kid's 19, he can consent. You just can't, like, give a kid a tattoo 5 years old or do crazy things, the parents liberal or something. I mean, especially this gender thing. This is huge. It's going to be a big factor in the election coming up.
Well, you know why? You know why, Donald? And it should be not because it happens all the time, not because it's a huge percentage of the population, but it's an issue where you say, you know what? Where do you stand on this? If you stand on the side of evil and lunacy, you do not deserve anybody's vote.
But they lie, just like they lied about school choice and stuff. They'll say things and then they go the other way.
Yep.
So the best thing is just to vote them out. That's about it.
That's our guy Shapiro. Yep. They got to go.
Yeah.
All right, my man.
Terrible.
Always a pleasure, Donald. Thank you.
Hard to believe. You know, everyone said he was such a nice guy and everything. I don't know what happened to him.
I don't understand it. I've yet to talk to them about it, but I will at some point. We'll see.
Yeah, I hope he comes on your show. He can define himself.
Yep. All right, my
man. On that issue, because it's huge.
Thank you, Donald. Well, we got to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We want to hear from our great sponsors. We've got our Veterans Tribute, the weather, and then you. And Lee is holding from Scranton. We'll talk to him about this hilltop construction project that is about to begin. We'll be back. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour. This day and every day. Brought to you by our man, John Basiliga, who tells you that the Pop-Up Market Series begins at the Marketplace at Steamtown this Saturday. Frank Yarosavage. He went home to the Lord at age 98, Thursday, July 31st. He's now rejoined with his beloved wife of 67 years, Lottie Dolly Yarosavage, and sadly, his son, Kevin. A resident of DuPont since 1960. His parents immigrated from Lithuania. He was the last living sibling of 10 children from that clan. Frank grew up in Scranton and graduated from the great Scranton Technical High School. And then he went to the Irvington, New Jersey Trade School as a tool and die maker. He performed various roles with manufacturers in the Scranton area before retiring from Gould Battery. Frank was a member of the Greatest Generation as a World War II Army veteran. He served us in Japan as light mortar gunner, Troop G, 7th Cavalry Regiment, 1st Cavalry Division. He was a member of a 5-man mortar crew acting as first gunner, trained to take all positions on the mortar. Frank was the recipient of the World War II Victory Medal and the Army of Occupation Medal, Japan. Avid fisherman, he enjoyed skiing until his mid-70s. He's survived by his son, Mark, his grandsons, 2 daughters, and a longtime family friend, Mark Hill. He was a longtime member of St. John the Evangelist Church in Pittston. And in his obit, which more people should do this, he's got a picture of himself as a youth and then in his later years, Frank Yarosavage. Well, yesterday was the 100th birthday for Eugene Passarella. He was presented with a plaque at the Gino Murley Veterans Center in Scranton. They had a full party. He called himself a ham. At 18 years old, recent high school graduate, Passarella was drafted into the Army during World War II. He was a West Scranton native. He was involved in the invasion of Normandy and wounded by sniper fire at the Battle of Bulge in 1944. He received 2 Purple Hearts and a Bronze Star for combat gallantry. He came back. He started working for the U.S. Postal Service. In 1952, he married Louise Colangelo. He was a clarinet and saxophone player. He was the longtime leader of the Gene Dempsey Orchestra and still sits in on performances, including, God willing, he'll be at Scranton's La Festa Italiana this year. Number of relatives were there at the Murley Center for this gathering. An incredible man, 100-year-old Gene Passarella. Our veterans this hour brought to you by John Basiliga and the Marketplace at Steamtown, where Saturday, March 16th, or August 16th, 20 pop-up vendors. There'll be year-round and food and retail vendors as well. A big event, 12 to 5 o'clock at the Marketplace at Steamtown. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, clouds with afternoon showers and thunderstorms, high 85. Tonight, cloudy with a chance of showers, 70 degrees. Thursday, morning clouds and showers, then partly sunny, 85. Friday, sunny with a high of 88. The great Victor Davis Hanson. We'll always seek wisdom from him. Murph tells us this date, 1964, Manfred Mann had the number one hit in the UK with Doo-Wah Diddy Diddy. Bob Cordaro back on the program. So I'm talking to you about this pop-up market series. It's beginning Saturday at the Marketplace of Steamtown. And who better to fill us in than Kristen Powers, who's this is her brainchild. She's guiding it along. Kristen, welcome back to the Bob Cordaro Show.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
All right, tell us more about it. I have your list of vendors. They're all kinds of vendors.
Oh, yeah, we have Electric City Roasting, Blind Cat Brewery, Zupa, Del Giorno as sort of like our food vendors in the backyard ale house. But then we also have clothing and handmade and jewelry, plants, a really good variety. So all together with the vendors that are already in the Scranton Public Market, there's like 30 plus.
Neat. Because, yeah, you've got longtime vendors. We would, Mr. Paul and I would walk around there working out at Crunch, and, man, you had to stop. You had to stop in the food court and get something. It was fat. So those, they're still there. Yeah, love it.
Yeah, so some of the long-term vendors that are there are Saigon Corner, Betty's Barbecue, Ruano's Pizza, and Korean Kitchen, and all are really fantastic assets to the downtown and the marketplace at Steamtown.
Now, Saturday, you're going to have some music as well. Jeremy Burke and the Williams Brothers will both be performing.
Yeah, so Saturday from 12 to 5, we will have live music, live art, the pop-up shop, and then a clothing swap as well that we partnered with Swap Scranton. So if you're coming and you'd like to participate in that, you could bring up to 10 items of gently used or new clothing and then receive up to 10 items new to you during the swap.
How about that? That's interesting.
Yeah, I guess it's really popular in bigger cities. So that's an idea of Hannah Radkowitz. She's with Swap Scranton, and she's been growing. So she did one at maybe like the Dunmore Community Center, maybe like the Waverly Com. So now she's growing as well, and she'll be in that like center court when you come up the elevator. So you'll bump right into her when you're coming to the second floor. It
is a great venue, the whole marketplace at Steamtown. It's actually perfect for this. I'm impressed. Well, between John Basiligo, who's always thinking, and you, this is going to be really interesting and fun.
Yeah, we can't wait. It was always John's vision to do like a Reading Terminal Market, so we think that this is the beginning of that. And I want to say, if you want easy parking, if you come up that medical side of the marketplace at Steamtown, come right up to level 3. You'll walk right in on the second floor, so you could skip the elevator and escalators.
That's right. That's right. Now, this is going to be ongoing, right? So we're going to be able to keep talking about this. You've got Farmers Market planned in September, Harvest Fest in October, holiday markets in November and December. So this is just the start of something great.
Yeah, we can't wait. So this one's sold out to vendors, but if anyone's interested in what you just mentioned, they can email me at scrantonpublicmarket@gmail.com for a vendor application for any of those shows.
That is really neat. Kristen Powers, thank you. We appreciate it. I'm excited to see it on Saturday. I've got that, and I've got the hot cars and cool watches at Bacardo's. I've got my Saturday morning and afternoon occupied.
Amazing. I went to high school with Alex. He's a great guy.
Oh, the best, the best. Well, thank you so much for filling us in, and we want to make sure we hear from you as this develops and as new things are added. You just don't hesitate to call in, all right?
Thank you so much. We're grateful to be here.
Kristen Powers, Scranton Public Market at the Marketplace of Steamtown, starting Saturday. It'll be a lot of fun. We'll be back. Donovan. Moving up the charts, Murph says this date, 1966, with his hit Sunshine, Superman. Bob Cordaro back with you on WILK. Somebody texts in, by giving Casey et al. A pass, you become an enabler. Who gave them a pass? Have you been listening to the show? Seriously. We're not getting a pass of any kind. Totally against them. 100%. Oppose them with every fiber of my being, on the air and off the air. Doesn't matter if I like them. It's irrelevant. By the way, I happen to really like the guys that replace them. Rob Bresnahan, great guy, great congressman already. Dave McCormick, great guy, great senator already. And two of the most qualified people to ever run for those offices. Somebody texts in, Bob, I have friends all my life that I love who have somehow become crazy liberal. I cannot understand how these people who I grew up with became 100% different than the people I knew. That being said, I still love them, but avoid them because I hate what they've become. It hurts, but it's true. Don't make excuses for them. I'm not making excuses. I hope you don't. I don't know where you would hear that I'm making excuses for them, and maybe you're not even disagreeing with me. I have no quarter. I give them no quarter on their policies and things they voted for and things they said. And things like that. I'll talk about cherry pie. But no excuses. And no pass for anything they did in office. They were horrible at their jobs. Casey and Cartwright. Horrible. And they voted for and supported and spoke in pure insanity. Why? I don't know. That's the question I have. Anyway, let's get to Lee from Scranton. How are you, Lee?
I'm really good.
Thank you for your patience.
I just wanted to call in and say that I think you're absolutely 100% wrong in regards to former elected officials because these aren't good people. They're really the dregs of society, and I'm going to explain why. Okay? We're paying about $500 a month in property taxes, the average person is. Okay? They've put rent out of reach. They have the government in everything it doesn't belong in. Okay? Over the course of my lifetime, they shipped all the jobs out of the country and caused just economic harm to the rank and file citizen that's just beyond belief. They've elected a court that's just completely out of its mind. I mean, you take a look at the appointee that Biden put on the Supreme Court, and you listen to her speak. She belongs in a magisterial level court, okay?
No,
she doesn't even know what...
No, I know the magistrate. She's too dumb to be a magistrate.
Well, you know, when you take a look at this Hilltop Terrace project and all the other things that are going on in Scranton, and not just here, but everywhere across the country, okay? You know, they've created laws that coddle certain groups. You know, I hope that somebody would, you know, if you look at research that's been done about where our society is and just don't listen to a single thing that a man has put on paper in regards to where we are. Just listen to the female researchers who have researched it. Don't listen to anything a man has to say because he's a woman hater. Okay, but how do you discount what the women are saying? Okay, this country's in big trouble. And, you know, when you take a look at this Hilltop project, they're going to create affordable housing. No, they're not. They're going to put the burden of that project on every property owner in the city or the county, okay, because all these tax exempts have to end. Okay, we just can't carry them anymore. We got to not listen to silly politicians like the council members and the mayor and the state representatives and the senators. The only honest person we have working for us at this point, and I'm going to be real honest, is President Trump and the circle of people around him. And everybody else, human debris. Okay, he's the only one telling us the truth. They tried to assassinate him twice, not make-believe. Now they've proved that Biden and Hillary and Biden created the Russian hoax, okay, to destabilize his government and go after him personally. And don't forget, during that Russian hoax, people killed themselves because they were implicated in something that didn't exist. And people went to jail. And now they're telling us, well, you can't hold these former elected officials responsible because Obama has immunity and the time frame is gone, so now we can't prosecute them. I disagree. I think the American people deserve a much better government, and I think that what the government needs to do across the broadest spectrum of our country is get out of things that you don't belong in and take us back to where the founders who started this nation started at and where they guided us to. We shouldn't have all this public housing. The government shouldn't be supporting anybody except the sick and the elderly, okay? And everybody else should be working and supporting themselves. We should remove all these illegal people who came into our country because our country was a group of settlers. They weren't immigrants. There's a difference, okay? And going forward, as we invited people into our country, they became settlers. They were self-sufficient, and they made a go of it. I mean, and we've just moved so far away from everything, Bob. There's nothing left.
Well, we've got time. This is the start. This is, we hope, the start of the turnaround of American culture and the preservation of American culture and the country that we know that is successful. Thank you, my man. Always a pleasure, Lee. We got to go for the news, but we'll take a break for that news. Brian Hughes has that because I look at my Picardo watch and I see that it's 11 o'clock and 34 seconds. And it's not a Breitling watch. They've got those. It's not an Oris watch. They've got those. It's not a Longines watch. They've got those. It's not a Michelle watch. They have those. It's not a Shinola watch. They have those. It's not a Luminox. They have them. Swiss Army. They've got those too. Seiko. They've got those too. It's a Picardo watch, which tells me it's time for the news. And to remind you, Saturday, hot cars, cool watches, 10 to 5 at Picardo's, Spruce Street and Jefferson Avenue, Scranton, PA. We'll be back. Great good morning, everyone. My Cordaro Jewelers watch tells me it's 11:11 a.m. and change here in the great Northeast. This beautiful Wednesday, August 13th, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he. And it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values. And with the help of our man, John Basiliga, who's bringing us the Pop-Up Market Series at the Marketplace of Steamtown starting Saturday. We have a chance to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like veterans we lost this year, but celebrate today. Like Frank Yera Savage, DuPont, Robert Anderson, late of Virginia, but he was from Roaring Brook. Edward Wentland, Scranton. Robert Schultz, Millville. Joseph Venditti, Berwick. And a guy who's still with us at 100 years strong, Gene Passarello. So, with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense. One of my favorites, Brandon Tatum. You heard him cap off as we heard from Curtis Sliwa. I'm for Sliwa. If Republicans would get off their duffs and support him, and if they would get off their duffs and go vote, he could win. He could actually win. There's enough time to expose this clown, Mamdani. Here he is living in subsidized house. Think of the disgrace he is. It's like the Bernie Sanders. Every communist who calls themselves socialist, they are all complete, disgusting hypocrites. Bernie Sanders, who gets approached, Bernie, you're talking about taking homes off of the billionaires. No one should have 3 or 4 homes. And he's got 3. And he said, well, I'm a United States Senator. And then we're talking about his stupid climate propositions, along with silly AOC, and they're flying private jets to their, End the Oligarchs tour? I forget what the hell it was called. It's just a joke. Well, I can't be waiting in line at United. What, are you kidding me? Yes, you can. Who do you think you are? Remember the traffic lanes going into the Kremlin? Preserved for high party officials? No one else needs apply? It's actually a worse hierarchy that socialists and communists impose. Oh, Lord. By the way, my man Joe Martin texts in, I misspoke again. The great carved message regarding veterans is at the American Legion post, not the VFW in Bloomsburg. So my apologies. I had it in my head. So once something gets in the pea brain, it's hard to get it out. Somebody says, Bob, you seem to admire the code of the mafia. Casey and friends would be sleeping with the fish. And somebody agreeing with our man Lee. Correct on everything he stated. I could agree with him on almost everything. I mean, it's one of the reasons I didn't interrupt him. And he makes sense. And I'll take truck driver common sense over politician stupidity and insanity any day. Any day. Yeah, so we look at all of the by the way, Minneapolis, I mentioned that in the first hour, also looking to elect this Somali American, I think he's an American citizen. He may not be. For mayor of Minneapolis, another communist. Another person who loves the S-hole country of Somalia better than America, but he's in America. He wants, see, these people will take us down to their level. Not themselves, by the way. They'll stay on top. The socialists and the communists will take us down to the level of the country they're from. They'll reduce everybody's standard of living except their own. They'll reduce everybody's independence and freedom but their own. Bob LTS from Berwick. Remember, Sanders used to say millionaires and billionaires until he became a millionaire. Now it's billionaires and trillionaires. He's a complete hypocrite. I'm telling you. You know, it's amazing. So he may be actually dumb, which I've never ascribed to him. Because there's an authenticity when he speaks. I think he believes what he's saying. And what do we say about these left-wing lunatics? There is zero self-awareness. Like, he doesn't realize that he's got 3 houses. Like, he's just not even aware of it. He hasn't internalized it yet. So it's okay for him to have 3 houses, but the billionaire class can't have it. And you're right. He dropped the millionaires as soon as he became a millionaire. So phony, so disgraceful, you literally can't make it up. Oh, my word. It's what it is, unfortunately. It's who they are. And there's people supporting them. Look at New York City, ready to self-immolate by voting for this communist clown with his fake smile and his hypocritical life. His whole life is hypocrisy. He lives well, lavish wedding in Uganda. He pretends he's African American or black. That was his inference. He pretends he's a minority. He's getting subsidized housing as a assemblyman in New York City, or in New York State. Wow. And they are unashamed. Well, something we're proud of is our sponsors. They're coming up. A little history, a little music. You can reach me, 570-883-0098. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Hot cars, cool watches. Saturday the 16th at Picardo's downtown Scranton. When I lived in an apartment downtown, one of Charlie Jefferson's apartments, those are the sounds I heard. Plus, I was near the firehouse. This date, 1966, 11 Spoonful. They had their number one hit with Summer in the City, and I didn't have air conditioning, which I don't like particularly. So I was fine with that. If you're supposed to sweat, sweat. The Bulldog, you don't have air conditioning. Did you straighten that problem out there, Bulldog, or what? So you just pant. Okay. Yeah, fans are sufficient. Do you have a big fan? I mean, they're sufficient for most people. A lot of people can't take the heat. Were they sufficient? Like they're big fans, like floor fans? Yeah, they're great. All right. Well, this is another hot week, which I love, but I know a lot of people don't. And yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun for a lot of people. For me, I'd rather be sweating. We have to have the air conditioning on for my bull mastiff, Chauncey. By the way, a lot of you texting in and asking how Chauncey's doing. Chauncey's much better. We went up. Is it countryside or countrywide? I know the people, and in Naples, and it's a great veterinarian. And we took Chauncey up there, and we thought he was dying. We really did. Or had gotten Lyme disease or something else. They did a blood test. Gave us some medicine. Chauncey's on the medicine, although it makes him go to the bathroom. So between me going to the bathroom and him going to the bathroom, there's not a moment's rest in the house. So you wonder why I'm not yawning, but I'm walking around tired because I like to take him. Well, I have to take him. I had to take him out 3 times. At what? Let me think. 3:50, I took him out because he had an accident the night before because the medicine makes him go to the bathroom. He ran to the front door, but I couldn't catch him. And he did part of it inside, and we have a special doggy carpet I got at Pet Supplies Plus. And it absorbed it, thank God. Anyway, so I'm up with him because I don't want that to happen again, and then I'm up myself. My man Paul says, no one likes not having AC. I could do without it. I really could. Fans, and I mean big fans, you know. It's good enough for me. I like it that way. Electrician says, Bob, if you sweat like me, you would worship air conditioning. I sweat in a freezer. Well, I tell this to Cutie. I try to explain to her, in a lot of the prisons I was in, for maybe most of them, they would have the temperature it didn't matter what time of year it was. It'd be blowing in the 60s or below. And they'd give you one thin, crappy blanket. Now, this is particularly in the holes. Once you were in a prison, like the 3 different prisons I was at longer term, well, then, you barter and you trade and you do this and that, and eventually I'd end up with 4 blankets. But then you have one, like, for example, up at USP Canaan, I was there 3 times. One time for 3 weeks. Well, they're blowing cold air at you. So what you would do, and, various inmates would teach you this, you get toilet paper, you wet it, and you throw it on the vent that the cold air is coming out of. And you could moderate it a little bit. But I told people after my prison experience, I said, I'll be like one of those old guys when it's 85 in the house and you can't even breathe. So, yeah, I don't like being in the cold. I truly don't. Heat, I could handle anytime. Hey, Mary Regina, patiently reminding me about Mother Teresa for today, for August 13th. And St. Teresa says this, God told us, love your neighbor as yourself. So first, I am to love myself rightly, and then to love my neighbor like that. But how can I love myself unless I accept myself as God has made me? In other words, I got to accept myself with all the flaws. Those who deny that beautiful differences between men and women are not accepting themselves as God has made them, and so cannot accept and love their neighbor. They will only bring division, unhappiness, and destruction of peace to the world. So you got to love yourself as you are before you can love others. And that's the first commandment. All right. The Picardo Jewelers Watch says 11:30 and change. That means we've got to hear from our great sponsors, which I'm happy to do. We'll come back with our final Veterans Tribute, the weather, and then you at 570-883-0098. Call or text. As you look at the Bloomsburg Legion, they've got this beautiful chiseled stone in front. It says, "What is a veteran?" It's not just those who were in war. because they explain a veteran, whether active duty, discharged, retired, or reserve, who is someone who at one point in his or her life wrote a blank check made payable to the United States of America, and I'll add for and its people, for an amount up to and including his or her life. This hour and every hour, this day and every day, our veterans tributes are brought to you by the great John Basiliga and his incredible companies. Hey, they have got a pop-up market starting Saturday, 12 to 5 o'clock. This Saturday, August 16th, at the Marketplace at Steamtown. Over 20 pop-up vendors, plus the already outstanding panoply of vendors in the Marketplace at Steamtown, right in that second floor center court. You will love it. They're starting Saturday. It's going to be a new Reading terminal market for us in Northeast Pennsylvania. Robert Schultz, Army veteran. He was 84 when he passed July 31st. He was from Millville. Born in Almeida. He joined the United States Army, serving from 1962 until he was honorably discharged in 1969. He worked for more than 30 years at Dana Corporation before retiring. He loved woodworking. He liked to take his wife for a golf cart ride to look for deer. He loved to fish. He loved auto racing. He had a remote airplane before it was cool. Bob is survived by his wife, the former Evelyn Young, whom he married in 1990. 4 children. Their spouses, 15 grandchildren. A slew of great-grandchildren. Preceded in death tragically by a son, Robert Jr., and a granddaughter, Erin Schultz. Robert Schultz. Oh, also even more tragically, a great-granddaughter, Shelley Kleist. Robert Schultz. Joseph Venditti, decorated Korean War veteran. He enjoyed Sudoku. He was 94. He was from Berwick. He died August 1st. Born in Berwick, 1931. He served us in the Army from 52 to 54 during the Korean War, where he earned a number of medals, including the Korean Service Medal with 2 Bronze Stars. Nobody knew that when he was employed as a salesman at Sears for many years. He also worked part-time for the Berwick Borough Police Department. A man of kindness, compassion, ethics, and faith. Member of St. Joseph's Catholic Church in Berwick, where he was an usher. He was also a member of the American Legion there. He'll be greatly missed by his beloved wife of 73 years, Joyce. His children, their spouses, his cherished grandchildren, adored great-grandchildren, nieces, nephews, and other family members. Joseph Venditti. Our great veterans this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and the Pop-Up Market Series starting Saturday at the Marketplace at Steamtown. Storm Tracker 16 forecast. Meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, clouds with afternoon showers. Thunderstorms possible. And Lisa's got the cover off the Jeep. I don't know what she's going to do. I wonder if Jumpin' Jeff does too. High 85. Tonight, cloudy with a chance of showers, 70. Thursday, morning clouds and showers, then partly sunny, 85 degrees. Friday, sunny, 88. So I guess the only chance of showers is this afternoon, evening. Somebody tells me it's 79 degrees in their house right now. I mean, if you got windows open and fans, though, you got to move the air. And speaking of stale air, Cabinet guy says, Bob, I thought the hole was for badasses. Well, I did about 6.5 months out of my 8.5 years in the hole at various places. It was for dumbasses, too. Nothing I can do about that. If the shoe fits, you wear it, right? So this Friday, Donald Trump travels to Alaska, and he's going to meet with Vladimir Putin. And I like the fact that for a change, he's not preordained any results. He hasn't predicted any great results. Now, if I'm Vladimir Putin, and I've talked to you guys about this, it's it's imperative that the United States ends this war, number one, and then reallies itself with the Russians. They're a very important counterpose to the Red Chinese. And we need them. Number one, it removes the threat from Europe if they're allied with us. And we should have initially an energy alliance. We should follow it up with a military alliance. I'm hoping that Trump could end this Democrat idiocy and this establishment idiocy that hates Russia. Now, Vladimir gave them very good reason to hate him. Hundreds of thousands of dead Ukrainians. And yes, they were not our allies, but they were a peaceful country. No, they're not a democracy, and not a true democracy, but they were a peaceful, sovereign country. Now, remember this. Erdogan from Turkey had a peace deal done with Russia that the Ukrainians would have accepted. All we had to do was acknowledge Crimea as Russian territory, which it already was and will be, period. So acknowledge reality and do not let Ukraine into NATO. That's it. The fighting would have stopped 3 years ago. The Biden administration screwed it up. And look what happened. Tom from Dallas says, how many wars has Trump ended in his first 6 months? It's about 6. It's about 6. And let's see if he gets to number 7 here. I certainly hope so, for the sake of the world. All right, Bob Cordaro, WILK. We're going to take a break and come back. My man Brian Hughes sent me something. Mayor George Brown of Wilkes-Barre. And just so everybody who lives in Wilkes-Barre or has a family member who was raised in Wilkes-Barre, George Brown announced that the city of Wilkes-Barre is accepting application for Hometown Heroes banner program. Get in touch with the mayor at City Hall. Pretty neat. Good stuff. He's a good mayor. All right. We'll talk to you shortly. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Well, it's 2:45 in the morning, and Frank's on a bar stool in Noumea, New Caledonia, over there in the Pacific. And, of course, our man Gerard tells us that it's 2:45 here in the great Northeast. Trump's announcing Kennedy Center honors. I mean, a lot of people, they just hate that he insinuates himself into these situations. He's made himself the chairman of the Kennedy Center, and he's announcing the honorees. I just love it. If it bothers the right people, that's for sure, which is good enough for me. So thank you, Donald Trump. I hope, getting back to this summit on Friday in Alaska, I hope that Donald Trump says you have to get out of Ukraine first, and then we will enter into a broad-based alliance with you. Russia knows that China has been its enemy. Border skirmishes, all the rest. They battled over who was the supreme communist leader back in the bad old days. But as you say to them, you get out of Ukraine and all things are possible, from energy alliances to military alliances. We can stabilize the planet because the true threat is the Red Chinese. Our internal threat in America, Islamism and leftism. Allying temporarily. The lefties are too stupid to know they'll be wiped out almost first. Bloomberg Money Minute, 11:50 on my Cordaro watch. Mark from Hazleton, he let me know that today is Alfred Hitchcock's birthday. Remember that deal? He died in 1980. Born August 13th, 1899, same year as my grandfather, Julius Savico. Thanks, Mark, for that little tip. And if you remember, if you're old enough, or if you go to wherever you find the shows, you can find any show now, right? There's that drawing of Alfred Hitchcock, and he would come up and stand, his silhouette would come and get inside it. It was great stuff. So thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. We're paying attention here. You guys are part of the show. Now, someone who goes unidentified, they say, God bless you, Bob LTS, bro. He has blessed me. There's no doubt about that. So I've got no complaints on that front. Yeah, I'm watching Trump, and the one thing he understands, well, he understands many things. One of the things he understands that's most important is that this culture war has to be fought. You've seen what has happened. You give an inch, they take a yard. And then they insist they own the yard you just gave them. That's the left. That's what they do. And they're not speaking for anyone else but themselves. Doesn't matter if it's the leadership of LGBTQ+++. Doesn't matter if it's the Democrat Party. They're not speaking for normal Democrats. None of them. African American. None of the black leadership is speaking for everyday African Americans and blacks. None of them. You give them an inch, they will take a yard and then tell you it was theirs in the first place. Does not reduce our responsibility to be open-minded, to be kind. But see, part of kindness is firmness, is stability, is an unwillingness to bend past a certain common sense point. And we've done it over and over and over again to the point where the Democrat Party and its elected officials and leaders have become the leaders of insanity and, in many cases, evil. They're fighting to keep criminal illegals in this country. They're fighting to stop Trump from bringing peace, law, and order to the capital city. They're gone completely. You got millionaire Marxists telling us we've got to cut back and we shouldn't have so much while they've got 3 houses and 4 houses and are worth millions and millions of dollars. And we've got these same fools flying around in private jets telling us we shouldn't be driving a car. Yeah. They are as insane as you think they are. Trust me. Hey, we're going to finish with the police. They're the #1 hit this date in 1983. Can't believe it's that long ago. Every Breath You Take. Great song. Let's pay final tribute to our veterans. They are Frank Yarosavich, DuPont, Edward Wentland, Scranton, Robert Anderson, born Scranton, worked in Roaring Brook, moved and late of Virginia, Joseph Venditti, Berwick, Robert Schultz, Millville, and then a great veteran who's still with us, Gene Passarello. 100 years old yesterday. Battle of the Bulge, Normandy landing, You can't say much more about him. 2 Purple Hearts. Bronze Stars. Amazing. And at that beautiful, beautiful Gino Murley Center. Great stuff. Well, that's it. We got the Sue O'Brien. Sue O'Brien. That was, she was one of my original disc jockeys, Sue O'Brien, on WWAX 1987. July 20th, we went on the air. Sue's up next. Rob's up after that. Their shows. I can't vouch that they're here. I can vouch that you'll hear their show. I'm off next week, by the way. We're going to get Rob Neihart in for at least one of those days. So, guys, have a great afternoon. For now, however, God willing, I'll see you tomorrow. I've got to gavel to a close this meeting of the Club for Common Sense. Have a great afternoon.